Hello, good evening. It is Monday, December 8th, and I have been so busy I skipped last week's podcast episode. So I'm here doing it today. I tell you, this month has been so busy so far. We had our anniversary and Christmas shopping and getting the little baby kitten raised and his veterinary appointments. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I am drinking Java Mama Gingerbread House. Gingerbread House is so good. It's not like an overkill of spices. Because you know how you can get really, really like, oh my gosh, these spices are about knocking me over. It's nothing like that. It's like a really good creamy flavor, almost like a cookie, gingerbread cookie type of flavor. It is a very, very good one. Jingle Bell Java still reigns as my favorite. And then we have a new butter cookie one that is also a favorite of mine. And I cannot wait for my shipment because I'm also getting banana rum cake, which is also available. So many yummy holiday flavors are available, and just regular coffee. Java Mama is clean and green, air roasted, so you don't taste the roaster. You taste the whole bean. Very yummy. Available in K-cups for your Keurig machine, and ground coffee as well. So you can get ground coffee, whole bean, and just the singles in the little K-cups or pods they call them. Okay, this is a case I have not heard about, and I don't know why. I may have heard the name, but I have not heard this case. This is the case of Robert Berdella. He was called the Kansas City Butcher and was quoted as the most horrific serial killers in modern history. My sources are allthat'sinteresting.com and wikipedia.org. I've also been listening to True Hollywood Story or True Hollywood Crime Story. I got to get the name right. I really like their episodes, and they did an episode on serial killers, and this name just came up, and I'm like, who is that? So I quote them as a source as well, even though I'm not using any of their what they talked about in their episode, but they have very intriguing episodes. I tell you, some of them, it's like amazing that what they come up with in their episodes. So Robert Berdella was born on January 31st, 1949, and I don't know how to say this town, so I'm going to spell it Cuyahogga, Falls, Ohio. I could say Cuyahoga, but I'm not sure if that's how you say it. He grew up in a Roman Catholic family, and they were very religious. He was not a social kid at all. He wore thick glasses and had trouble with his speech. So he had like a speech impediment. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but that made it hard for him to make friends. His own dad made fun of him because their younger son was more athletic than Robert. Really? Oh my gosh. He became, as a teen, he started realizing that he was gay. He started to get more confidence, actually. And the 1965 movie The Collector, which I have not seen, I don't even know if I've heard of it. The Collector was a movie that stayed with Robert. This movie was about a man who stalked a woman, kidnapped her, and held her in his basement until she died. And Robert didn't do any horrific crimes like the ones in this movie until years later, but he always claimed that the movie was his inspiration. Now, he graduated in 1967 from high school and went into the Kansas City Art Institute in Missouri. I had no idea this guy was like into art, but his art, he excelled pretty well in art, but this is around the time he got into drugs and started torturing animals. And I am not going to go into that, except here's a trigger warning. I'm not going into detail because I hate this and I can't go into detail about it, but I have to talk about, there was one that was a duck and he cooked it. And I'm not going to say what he did before that, but he cooked it and he displayed, I don't know what kind of art this was, what this art piece looked like, But this was incorporated in his art piece. The college administration did not put up with it, and this is what got him some harsh backlash. Well, he ended up leaving the school and moved to Hyde Park, the Hyde Park neighborhood in Kansas City. He used the house that he lived in, to board young men. Now, I never got the address of this. I never found it, but I didn't really look for it, but I didn't find it in my sources. But he used this house to board young men who were homeless. Many were sex workers or drug addicts. And, of course, he charged them money because he had to make ends meet, right? But he said he was coming to their aid as a foster parent, and that's what his claim was. This was in 1967, so, he would have only been like 18. If my math's right, yeah, he would have been like 18. I was thinking he was older. But he worked as a chef, I don't know where, and sold antiques for extra money, renting a booth at the Westport Flea Market. And this was local, and he called it Bob's Bazaar. He had a hard time making ends meet, so he would actually steal items to sell. Occasionally steal, is what I read. Now, he met 19-year-old Jerry Howell because Jerry's dad, Paul, rented a booth next to Robert. Now, one source said Jerry rented the booth, but the other source said his dad, Paul, did. Jerry had confided in Robert that he was a sex worker. Now, this is according to Robert. And after many times making fun... Now, comes later after many times of making fun of Robert for his homosexuality. Now, Robert ended up being a friend of the family. And Paul, Jerry's dad, relocated his booth to an actual shop inside a store. But Robert was still friends with him. And it was July of 1984 when Robert offered to take Jerry to a concert. Instead of going to this concert, Robert drugged Jerry, took him back to his house, and shot him with a tranquilizer before tying him to his bed. Robert also had a pad of paper which he took his own notes on what he did to Jerry, so he could refer back to it. Jerry was tortured and sexually assaulted with objects for 28 hours. He died by asphyxiation from his own vomit because he had the gag in his mouth. Robert hung him after he killed him, over a large pot in his basement and drained the blood from his body. He then dismembered him and stuffed his body parts in garbage bags, making sure the garbage men took the parts on garbage day. Robert told police they parted ways after they got to the concert, and he never saw him again. Now, I know this was in the 80s. I would think nowadays that would be looked more into, because it seems like that's always, 9 times out of 10, that is the excuse a killer gives somebody when they're last seen with them. Oh, I never saw him again. I dropped him off, or we parted ways, or. And I'm kind of surprised the police did not look into that, a little more. Now, unless they did and just didn't find anything. Sorry, I had my drink of gingerbread house there. Okay. April of 1985, a 20-year-old man, Robert Sheldon, came to Robert Berdella's place looking to stay there. Now we got 2 Roberts, so I'm going to use last names. After 2 days, Berdella drugged and tied up Robert Sheldon because he had to express anger and frustration he felt toward others. This is his own quote. What this frustration and anger was, I have no idea. But Robert Sheldon had drained cleaner swabbed in his eyes, needles stuck under his fingernails, and caulk filling his ears over 3 days. He suffocated Robert Sheldon and did the same with his body as he did with Jerry Howell. He kept Robert's skull in his closet. Mark Wallace was his next victim that June, and there was another victim in September named James Ferris. Robert did more with these 2 victims, using alligator clips for electric shock to their nipples and testicles. June of 1986. So this was the following year, a year later. Robert just happened to see a man at a park who had stayed with him before. It was 23-year-old Todd Stroops. Robert invited him over for lunch, and you can probably guess what happened. He held Todd for 2 weeks, raping him and torturing him, injecting drain cleaner into his larynx so he could not scream. And I don't know if he's getting all of this from that movie. I'm thinking, where are you getting this? I'm not understanding. So I don't know if I have not seen the movie The Collector. I have no idea. But anyway, Todd survived for 2 weeks and then died from septic shock. And here's a trigger warning here. I'm not going to go. I'm just going to say what happened and that's it. Todd had a ruptured anal wall from Robert's fist. Okay. Very horrible. Oh my gosh. I mean, all of this is just horrific. Spring of 1987, Larry Pearson was next, making him victim number 6. Now, he had 6 weeks of Robert's torture. He actually gained Robert's trust, though, which made him hold out longer, even being removed to the second floor as a reward from the basement. Finally, Larry couldn't take it anymore and bit Robert on his penis during one of the rapes. Too bad this did not kill him. And I think he bit it pretty deep from what I read. Robert beat him to death with a tree branch and suffocated him to death. Okay, I had beat him to death and suffocated him to death. I mean, I think he just beat him with the branch and then suffocated him to death. His head was buried in Robert's backyard. Okay, it was March of 1988 when Robert attempted another torture and rape of 22-year-old sex worker Christopher Bryson. Christopher went through 4 days of torture and rape before he was able to break free from using a box of matches left near him, which was an accident, I'm sure, that Robert left these matches not far from him. He was able to burn the binding he was tied up with when Robert was at work. He was completely nude except for a dog collar. He jumped from a second-story window. So this guy must have been upstairs. And I did not read as to why he was upstairs, because usually they're in a basement. So he was able to jump from a second-story window, breaking his foot in the process, still being able to run down the street as he saw a meter reader who helped him. Police went to Robert's house and found 2 human skulls, vertebrae, envelopes with teeth inside, a chainsaw with blood on it, and 334 Polaroids of his victims, while dead and alive, both in the photos. They also found his pad of notes on his dresser. Oh my gosh. This house of Robert Berdella's was purchased by a local businessman in December of 1988. And then it was later demolished. They never let out how much he paid for this house. Robert Berdella pled guilty and told all about what he did to his victim so he wouldn't get the death penalty. Jerry Howell's father, Paul, who knew him, was not happy with this. He wanted the death penalty, and I would have too. Robert was sentenced to life in prison without parole, but fortunately for him, victims' families and everybody else, he died of a heart attack on April 8th of 1992. He was 43 years old and had only been in prison for less than 4 years. So he got his death penalty. So karma got him in the end. A movie was made in 2009 called Berdella, with Seth Correa, Correa. I'm not sure if I know who that is. He played Robert Berdella. And then there was a documentary called Bazaar in 2004. And that was made by James Elroy. I have not seen this, but I looked it up and I saw people were saying it was terrible. That's just online opinions. But it's spelled Bazaar. The first word is Bazaar, which is a noun. And then the second word is Bizarre. which is an adjective. So it's like bizarre, bizarre. Wow. Like I said, I have not heard this case, and I'm pretty sure I heard the name, the Kansas City Butcher, but I don't think I've seen this like on documentaries. Like I always watch that show with Mark Wahlberg or Donnie Wahlberg, Very Scary People. I don't remember this being in there, but this would be a good one to have on there. I just don't remember hearing about this, and I don't know why. Maybe it's not. I think when serial killers die, either before they're found or right after they're put away, it seems like you don't hear about them as much. I did the one with that guy, the episode of that guy with the really deep blue eyes in Naperville. I can't think of his name, and he was like a Ted Bundy, but he ended up killing himself accidentally before he was caught. You don't hear much about him either. So it's just very, oh my God, I have no words for this one. At first it started reminding me of Dahmer, but I don't know, man. This is like way, way worse with the torture, which Dahmer was bad, horribly, horribly bad. And his went on for years. This guy, oh my gosh. But anyway, that is the story of Robert Berdella, the Kansas City Butcher. This will be up Friday. What is Friday? Let's see. Today's the 8th. Friday the 12th. And this will drop Friday the 12th. And it'll be up early for my Patreon and Spotify Premium members. So on Patreon, there's a $3 tier. You can join for $3. You get the early episodes, my own, my 2 cents coffee chat, story time. My novel, Stranded in Time, is on there that I'm reading, and you get 1 bonus episode a month. The $5 tier gets 2 to 3, most of the time it's 3 bonus episodes a month, and everything else they get with that. So I just want to mention that really quick. If you are interested, you can pay the $5 and listen to all of them in one shot. You can just binge all of them. It's not like you have to only listen to 3 episodes a month. No, you can listen to all of them. And I've had the Patreon I've had it for 2 years now. So you can imagine how many episodes are on there. I haven't done the math, but there's a lot. So you can either join the $3 or $5 on Patreon, and in Spotify Premium, it's only $5 on Spotify Premium. I can't do a different tier on there, so it's just $5. I'm trying to think of what I've been watching. Of course, I've been watching Christmas movies. I've been watching the new season of American Monster on ID, and I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like American Monster was better when it first started. I don't like to hear who the killer is. It's one of those, and that's how it used to be, and now they basically just tell you who it is on the previews of it. But I've been watching that, and there's other things I've been watching besides, of course, Christmas movies. But I am reading book 1 in a series called The Murder Before Christmas, and it is a cozy mystery, and it is a series, but I don't know how many books are in the series. I'm not sure how many, but the author is Michelle, Pariza. I'm thinking that's the middle name or part of the last name, and then Wacek. I'm not going to even Michelle Pariza Wacek. I'm not even going to even say it. I hate butchering names, but that's her name, and it's actually really good so far. It's very, very interesting. But and it's very, it's cozy mystery, so it's very easy reading, which I like. But I haven't really been watching very many. If there's any new I did watch that one on Netflix about the kid with Asperger, or is it Asperger's? I don't want to say the wrong thing. He was autistic, and his mother died from a boating accident and they found him in the lifeboat and said that he had been in the lifeboat shorter than what he said he was. And then that is good. It's only one episode. And for the life of me now, I forgot his name. But it's on Netflix. I watched that, and I'm still in the middle of the Murtaugh murders on Hulu. I want to watch the rest of that. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been like so busy with things. But I watched the show. I watched the documentary, or not documentary, the limited series All Her Fault, which is excellent. And now I see that that's on our local channels, but they're going to have to cut out a lot in that. But boy, that is one good series. If you have not seen it, I think it's on Peacock. If you have not seen it, highly, highly recommended. I may have talked about it before, but I'm not sure. But I just wanted to touch up on what, like I said, the podcast I've been listening to is Hollywood Crime. I've been listening to that, which is pretty good. I mean, if you don't mind blunt language, it's good. They do have some pretty good. They're doing Mickey Rooney right now. 3 episodes on him. I'm going to tell you what, I did not know a lot of what they're putting on there about him or what they're saying about him. I did not know a lot about him anyway, just that he was in the movies with Judy Garland, and it's amazing though what they do a lot of digging for old time actors and old time stuff like that, which I like. So also True Crime and Coffee Couple. I love that one. Coffee and Crime Couple. True Crime Couple. Another one of my favorites. I love them. I have got so many that I listen to, and I'm so behind. Wife of Crime, another favorite one. There's one now called American Scandal, but I don't like the idea that some of them you have to pay on Wondery for. But they've got a lot of good episodes on there on American Scandal. They're talking about the West Memphis 3 right now, and it is very good. And I think you don't have to have Wondery for that one. But every season is a different scandal. And there's like just so many episodes for that particular, story. But anyway, if anybody has any suggestions for episodes, let me know. I will be happy to do them. I center on the Midwest, but it doesn't have to be on the Midwest if it is a suggestion. I will do my best to do that one for you. So if anybody has any suggestions, I'll leave everything in the show notes, so you can email me or comment on this episode in Spotify, I'm pretty sure. So please let me know. Everybody have a wonderful and safe December and Christmas. If I'm not on here again, I should be, but hopefully I'll be able to go back to my regular 1 episode every 2 weeks. And I've got to think about what to do for the second bonus episode for Patreon. I got to think of what to do. And usually the second bonus episode is for the $3 tier. That's usually the one I put for the $3 tier and $5 tier. So I got to think of what to do. I'm not sure yet. But hope everybody has a wonderful December. You're staying warm. We got snow here, but it's pretty cool because all the roads are clear and I don't have to go anywhere unless I need to, which is awesome. So everybody have a wonderful weekend, December, Christmas, and New Year's. And I will see you next time.